Creating free resources can really help you to showcase the quality of your work while also helping to grow your audience. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a simple, effective free resource that can help you set your store up for success. Okay, like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Hello, YouTube fam. It's Chantel, the face behind the teacher mindset, and welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I've created a tutorial video, so for today, I'm going to show you how to create a free resource for your TPT store from start to finish. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use Canva and Microsoft PowerPoint to create the exact same resource. So this video will be great for anyone who is looking to maybe start a TPT store and needs that first free product, or anyone who is just looking to create a free product, maybe as a lead magnet, or just wants to offer more free resources to anyone in your audience. This video is going to be for you. The product that we are going to be making for this video is a Signs of Spring kind of nature walk observation worksheet that's meant to be print and go. So it's really easy for teachers to use. There's no prep involved. They can simply print, have their students complete the activity, and then they'll be ready to go. The goal of this video is to show you how easy it is to make a simple free resource on your own, and give you some ideas of things that could potentially really not only be lead magnets, but it could also sell in your store if you wanted to expand upon it and make it into a paid resource. We are going to dive right into this video, and first up, I'm going to show you how to create this resource in Microsoft PowerPoint. To get started with this resource, we are going to open up a new PowerPoint presentation, and we are going to first start by saving the document. I'm going to come over. I'm going to save this to my desktop as Signs of Spring Observation Worksheet. I'm also going to ensure that as we go through this activity, periodically I'll stop to save because we want to make sure that we don't lose any of our work. So now that we have that saved, the first step that we're going to do is I'm going to just click on this part of the screen and drag over these text boxes to delete them. We want to start with a clean blank slate when we create this product. Now that we've got this product nice and clear, I'm going to go and save this or transform this file type from a standard presentation to an 8.5 by 11 size document. I'm going to go to Design, Slide Size, and Page Setup. So right now, obviously, because we're using PowerPoint, the standard screen size or the standard file size is set for widescreen, which is meant to be a presentation. But because we're just designing in PowerPoint, but we're actually creating something that's going to be printed, we want to change the dimensions from 13.33 as the width to 8.5. And we're going to change the height from 7.5 to 11 inches so that our document will now model a standard size paper. It's going to ask us if we want to scale up or scale down. Since we have no content, you can just click scale up to kind of clear that out. And so now, as you can see, the way that it's shaped, it models a regular standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper so that when someone gets this resource, they can simply print it and it's ready to go. After I've gotten the file size to what I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead, and something that I like to do for all my products is either in the top corner or one of the bottom corners, I like to put a little copyright at the teacher mindset so that if someone is downloading this product and they happen to share it with someone else, they can know exactly which creator made that resource. So I'm going to start by going to Insert. I'm going to insert a text box, and I'm going to drag a text box onto the screen. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that little copyright symbol into this. And to do that, there is a shortcut. You'll simply have parentheses, lowercase c, and close the parentheses. As you see, when you do that, it automatically knows that you're shortcutting for the copyright symbol. So I'm going to do copyright 2026, the teacher mindset. And I would recommend and advise that you do this for all of your products so that whoever is downloading this, or if it's a paid product, whoever's purchasing this knows that you were the original creator of this resource. One thing that I like to do for my resources, especially with kind of like the print and go or print and play style resources that I create, I like to create a little border. I think it just helps to bring things together. So I'm going to create a little border using shapes. So I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to shape. I'm going to add a rectangle. It's going to give me this little plus sign, and I'm going to drag from one corner to the other to create a blue rectangle. I want this to be clear or see-through. So we're going to take the color out. So here we're going to go to shape fill, and we're going to change it to no fill. And now, as you can see, it gives me a little border around my document, but it makes it clear so that we can put content on the inside. I like the border to be a little thick. So here where we have shape outline, I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to first make sure it is actually black and not any kind of like grayish color. And then I'm going to go down to weight. Right now, the weight is at 1.5 points, and we're going to take it to 3 points. I think I actually want it a little thicker. So let's take it to 4.5 points. There we go. Again, this is just an extra step. You don't have to do this. I like to. I just think it adds a nice little touch to my resource to kind of have a border that brings it all together. But again, this is optional. The last thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to ensure that it is centered. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the actual object. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to move it up and down or left and right until I see this red dotted line that comes directly down the middle and directly across the middle. And that's going to ensure that my shape is centered both left and right, as well as centered from top to bottom. I can let it go now, and so I now know that it is centered, which is perfect. Now that I have that centered, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to push my copyright up further into the top left. There, I think that looks great. So now we have a border, we have our copyright, which is super important. Now it's time for us to actually start adding the content into, or what this resource is actually going to be about. As I mentioned, this is going to be a Signs of Spring observation worksheet. So the first piece of the content that we're going to add is our header. I'm going to go back to Insert. I'm going to go back to Shapes, and I'm going to select another rectangle, which is going to once again kind of give us that plus sign. And I'm going to start here from our border, and I'm going to drag and hold and create another rectangle shape. And this is going to kind of be the background, and I'm going to put some text on top of that to create the actual name of the resource on this resource. Again, it's blue, so we're going to click on it. We're going to go to Shape Fill. This time I actually do want there to be a color inside. I'm going to change it from blue to black. So I'm going to come here and click the black. And then I'm going to go to the shape outline and once again select black, just to make sure that the border is black as well as the interior is black. Now for this first one, we are going to make this resource in black and white, but I'm also going to show you how to make this in color. We're going to do that after we finish this first one. So since it's in black and white, I want the background of the text to be in black, which means that I want the font to be in white. So now we're going to go back to the home screen. We are going to, actually, we're going to go back to insert. We are going to once again select a text box, and we're going to drag a text box into the screen once again. And so I'm going to call this Signs of Spring. It's going to be Signs of Spring observation worksheet, but I think I'm going to do this in 2 layers so that the words for Signs of Spring can be much larger. Let's drag this to be about size 60, and I also want it to be bold. I like a crisp, thick, crunchy letter. I don't even know if that makes sense, but you get what I mean. I like it when it's nice and thick. It just makes it pop that much more. So right now the text is black, and if we were to take the text and, as you can see, put it on top of the black box, we're not going to be able to see it. So we are going to change the font of this, or the font color, using this little A. We're going to change it to white. So now it's white. Obviously we can't see it, but that's okay, because as you can see, when we drag it up over the box here, we are going to see the letters nice and clear. I'm looking at this, and we can actually make it a little bigger. So to make it a little bigger, we're just going to drag this to each corner. All right, 72 is a little big. So let's split the difference, and let's say 70. Up, 70 is still a little too big. 69. Well, let's go down with more. 68. Okay, perfect. So we've got Signs of Spring. That's perfect. And let's make sure that this is centered. Okay, so we've got Signs of Spring. I'm actually going to grab that text box one more time. I'm going to copy it. You can right click and copy, or you can use Control C or Open Apple C if you are using a Mac. And then we are going to paste another version of that box, and we're going to put it right underneath. And so for this, we're going to have Signs of Spring, and then we're going to put, for this smaller one, or this kind of subheader, Observation Worksheet. I'm going to highlight all of that text, and we're going to make this much smaller. Let's see, we're going to bring that down to like 40. I think that looks good. Give ourselves a little bit of space between Signs of Spring and Observation Worksheet, and we can make our text box our backdrop a little smaller. I'm going to play around with this by essentially grabbing the two layers of text. Okay, I'm going to right click. Oops, sorry. I'm going to grab my 2 layers of text, as I said before. I'm going to right click and group them together. Essentially, it's making them one layer. And then I'm going to focus on centering it. So as you can see, I've got my center line down the middle, which means it's centered from left to right. And then I've also got my red line going from side to side, which means my text is centered inside of that black box from top to bottom. We're going to go back to our kind of heading here. We're going to go to Insert, and we are going to add a table. So when we click that drop down, it's going to ask us, well, how many rows and columns do we want? So we're making this 3 by 3. So we're going to select a 3 by 3 table, 3 rows and 3 columns. Once we select that, we see that a table now displays inside of our presentation. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm just going to drag the various sides here, because I want our table to take up most of this space. I'm going to click the border again, and just like we do with all the other features, I'm going to move it left and right until I see that red diagonal or dotted line going down the center. That means that our actual table is centered. It's directly in the middle from left to right. Okay, so now that we have it directly in the middle, I'm going to click on the table again. And now I want to remove all of these weird colors. So when you add a table, it automatically defaults to this kind of blue table with different colors. We want, again, for all of the colors to come out. So now that we have the table highlighted, we're gonna go here to where it says shading. We're going to drop that down and we're gonna go to no fill. So now this is completely taking the color out of the table, and now it allows us to be able to add into that table. But the last thing that we want to do is we want to have the actual lines that go inside the table. So the first thing that we're going to do is change the pen weight. Mine's is defaulting to 3 points. Yours might default to 1/4, but first we want to go ahead and change that. Again, I like thicker lines rather than thinner lines. So if you want your lines a little thinner, you can keep it at the 1/4 point. I'm going to have mine stay on 3 point. That's exactly where I want it to be. So that's perfect. After we change it to 3 points, which is just going to give us a thicker line in the middle, we're going to go to borders and we're going to change it from no border to all borders. And as you can see there, it's actually now put the lines in. And again, it's giving me that nice thick line that I like. It's really visible. That's perfect. So we're going to keep it that way. Whenever I'm looking for photos or graphics to go into my resources for Teachers Pay Teachers, I use the website flaticon.com. I love to use this site because you can use the icons from this site for free for any type of commercial use products. However, you do have to ensure that you are crediting the author when you use the resource. Now, I go a step beyond and I actually have a subscription for this website. So I can use the icons that I find or the stickers that I find from this website without having to properly give credit to the author because I am using it as a paid subscriber, for lack of a better word. But if you are not ready to kind of make the jump to actually purchasing yet, especially if you're a new TPT author or you're just getting your store started and you aren't ready to make that investment, Flat Icon is a great website for you to use. I would just ensure that you review the terms and subscriptions clearly so that you can ensure that you are crediting the author correctly in order to not have your resource get a copyright strike. So now that I have all of my photos that I want to use, I'm going to go ahead and start to bring them into this design and line them up so we can finish the product. I'm going to go back to Insert. I'm going to click the drop down for Pictures, and I'm going to select Pictures from a file. I already have all of the photos in my downloads. I did that before we got started. And as you can see here, I have the black and white as well as the colored version of all of the graphics that I want to use for this resource. We're going to start with the black and white version. And then once we create the colored version, we're going to go ahead and swap those photos for the colored version. I'm going to start by doing 3 at a time. So I'm going to enter the 3 that I want to have in the first row. So I dragged those 3 photos into my resource. It's got all 3 of them highlighted. While you have them highlighted, you can go ahead and drag the top right corner or top left corner and just bring them down and scale them down to a smaller size. Now I'm going to uncheck it. I'm going to grab my first one here, which is the ladybug. It's still a little too big, so I'm going to grab from the top right corner and once again, make it a little smaller. Now, it is important that you don't stretch your photo from the sides or from the top and bottom. It's going to distort the actual dimensions of your photo. So you don't want to stretch it and make it extra long or stretch it and make it extra wide in a way that it wasn't meant to. So it's always good to resize it from one of the four corners so that it keeps the dimensions perfectly accurate and your photo is not going to look distorted. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the remaining 6 boxes. I'm going to come back when I've got all of my photos in, and then I'm going to show you the last little step that we're going to do to finish up this product. The last thing that I want to do is add a little text box underneath each photo so that we can write what the word is for each photo. So from our home screen, we can see here that the text box feature is available. We're going to go ahead and select text box. We're going to drag a text box underneath our photo. I'm going to center it. I'm going to bold it, and I'm going to change it to Sophia Pro. And I am going to type in all caps just a little word under it to describe that photo. So a great trick to ensure that my word ladybug is centered in this box, I'm actually just going to stretch the box out so that it covers the entire width of this little box with the ladybug in it. And that helps me to know that my ladybug is centered, or the text ladybug is centered. And then I just moved my ladybug to the left or the right until I got that little red line that lets me know that my actual picture of my ladybug is centered with the text ladybug. And so I'm going to now grab my text ladybug. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste to create another one. I'm going to drag this one into the next box. As you can see, I've got all these lines, these red dotted lines are showing up that I'm nice and centered. I'm centered with the text ladybug that's to the right, and I'm also centered in the middle of the page. And now we're going to change that text. I'm going to copy one more time and paste, and I'm going to do the same thing with our flower. I'm going to grab the text for flower as well as the text for ladybug. I'm going to copy all three at the same time and I'm going to paste. That's going to give me all three at the same time. And then it makes it easier for me to drag them down and place them where they belong. Okay, so now I'm going to change each word. Okay, I already have the last thing copied, so now all I have to do is press paste one more time, and it's going to make another copy of those words. I'm going to bring them down, and there we go. I'm going to just ensure that this is centered. Perfect. And I'm going to update the text one more time. Before we finalize it, I just realized that there's one thing that I'm missing. I actually want to add somewhere for the student to write their name, which is important for this resource. So I'm going to switch the layout around. I was originally going to leave this here, but I think I'm going to change and put the copyright at the bottom right, or the bottom right corner, and then leave some more space for the name. So I'm going to quickly just move things around here, and I'll be right back with you once I am ready to add the name. Now that I've added the name, I'm going to show you a way that I like to actually draw lines, and it's a little bit different than how other people might do it, but I actually like it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to adding a table, and this time I'm going to create a 1-by-1 table. So that just looks like a general box, which we are going to bring up, and we are going to place it right next to the name field. Now, just like we did with this table, we are going to once again take the color out by going to shadings and putting no fill. And this time I'm going to change the thickness of the line. Let's go to 1 point. And we're going to go to borders, and instead of selecting all of the borders, we only want to create a bottom border, which is only going to make a line at the bottom, which will essentially look like that straight line that you need for someone to write their name. And we'll move it over, we'll put it exactly where we want, we'll extend it so that it comes all the way over. Actually, let's extend it to match this line. We'll bring it in so that we can bring in the name. And there you have it. Now, the reason why I actually like doing it this way rather than inserting, we can go to shape and just insert a plain line and draw a line, is that sometimes when you are drawing lines in PowerPoint, when you're trying to extend it, sometimes it tries to touch these weird anchor points and your line isn't always straight. Sometimes it deviates it off at like a 98 degrees or I'm sorry, not 98 degrees, but it just deviates the line and it's not quite straight. It sometimes puts it at an angle. So if you want to ensure that your line is straight each and every time, you essentially just make a 1-by-1 table and you only outline the bottom line, which essentially looks like a perfect straight line for someone to write their name. And there you have it. We have the first version or draft of our Signs of Spring worksheet. Now we're going to quickly duplicate this and I'm going to show you how to make it in color. To duplicate, we're going to come over to our little side panel here to the left. I'm going to hover over my actual worksheet here. As you can see, it creates a red line around it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate the slide. And that is just going to essentially make an exact carbon copy of it. And now we can simply just change out the black and white photos for the color photos. We can maybe update, if you want to, the black background and the color of the words, if you would like to make this now a activity that is offered in color. Easy way to go and swap out these photos is that you can right click on each photo. You can say, I want to change the picture from a file, and you can now go ahead and select the color version. So since I'm clicking on the butterfly, I want to replace it with the colored butterfly. And there you have it. Now, without having to bring that photo in, resize it, do all of that work to essentially make sure it's lined up properly, you can simply click on each photo, change it, and swap it out for its colored version. And just that quickly, we now have a colored version and a black and white version. The one thing I'm going to do for the colored version, since it's already in color, they wouldn't be able to color the Signs of Spring. So instead of saying circle or color, we might say circle or we can say put an X or a circle around each sign of spring as you observe it on your nature walk. Kind of like differentiates it from the coloring part, since obviously they wouldn't be able to color the picture since it's already in color. I like the black and white background that we already have for our title. That isn't something that you have to change, but if you wanted to, you could simply click on this black background. You can change it to a different color, and obviously based on that color, you might want to put your text in black versus white. I'm going to show you really quickly how to do that in case that's something that you want to do. But for the sake of this product, I'm going to actually keep the final version in black and white. So I've kind of moved my text over a bit just so that I can get to the black background behind it. I'm going to go up to shape format. I'm going to click this drop down on shape fill, and then you can simply change out the background of the shape. Now, if I was going to change it from black to another color, I do like to have certain colors within like a palette. So I might go and find like a spring color palette and find an exact color that would work. You don't have to do that if this was something that you liked, which I actually kind of do like this yellow color that I chose just from, or like a orangey yellow color that I chose from the standard theme colors that PowerPoint has. You can do that. I would also go to the outline because you can see it has a black outline on it. I would also change the outline to that color so that it would match. And another thing you can see is that it overlaps our border. We wouldn't want that. So I would come to click on it and click send to back so that it would fall. As you can see, now it goes underneath the black border. And I would totally do something like this if I wanted to give it some color. Another thing that you could do if you wanted to give it some color as well, a specific color, I'm going to go ahead and click on that background again. I'm going to drop down our color fill, and I'm going to go to more fill colors. If there's a specific color that you are looking for, you could find its like 6-digit hex code. You could type it in here and it would find that very specific color. Again, that's something that I probably would do if I wasn't going to have this in black and white. But that's another thing that you can do. One other thing that you could do, if there was like a color that you already had on your document that you're like, I want the background to match this exact shade of the background of this title to match this exact shade of the ladybug. You could come down here and pick like this little eyedrop filter. And when you click on it, it creates this circle. And it's essentially looking, you can hover it over. As you can see, I'm hovering it over the ladybug. And I'm telling PowerPoint that I want to make my box this exact red. So I would hover over it till I found that color and I would click on it. And as you can see, it's actually found the hex for that specific color on the ladybug. And if I click OK, now my background actually matches my ladybug. But now, as you can see, it has like that border color that doesn't match. So I would go to the border and it will now show, oh, this red that you picked up out of the ladybug, it's a recent color that you've interacted with. Let's go ahead and change it to that. And then we can have a new colored background. So just a couple of cool features. If you weren't aware of how to use them in Microsoft PowerPoint to get specific colors, you could definitely do that. As I mentioned, for the sake of this product, I'm going to keep everything in black and white. And that brings us to the end of our Microsoft PowerPoint demonstration. To wrap this up, a couple of things that you always want to remember. I did not do this while we were creating, but please, please, please always remember to save periodically as you create this resource. Canva, which is the next program that we're going to use, automatically saves as you go along. If you're using Google Sheets to create a product like this, Google Sheets will automatically save as you go along, but Microsoft PowerPoint does not save as you go along. So please ensure that you're stopping periodically to save your work, because if your power goes out, if your computer dies, it will revert back to whichever is the last time you saved it. And you don't want to be like me and having only saved it at the very beginning, because if I was to lose power throughout this, I would have lost everything. So please do not be like me. Make sure you save periodically when you are creating in PowerPoint. Now that we have it saved, I'm going to show you something that you need to do in Microsoft PowerPoint. It's a few more steps than what it looks like in Canva, but it is a very important step, especially when you are creating a product to either sell or offer as a free resource in any store that you put it up, whether it be Teachers Pay Teachers, Etsy, or any other platform. And that is, you want to, what we call, flatten your file to help protect your work. Right now, this document is essentially several text boxes and several photos that are all put on top of each other to create this design. And if you do not flatten it, it essentially saves it as a document that has a bunch of different images, and someone can essentially come download this from you. They can lift some of the work off of that document and essentially take pieces of your work if they wanted to. What flattening the product does is that it turns it all into one layer. So it makes it a lot harder for someone to be able to lift work off of your page and essentially take credit for or try to steal your work. A lot of times, if you are using artwork or graphics from another teacher that you maybe purchase off of the Teachers Pay Teachers website, they may, in their terms and conditions, require you to flatten your work. If you are going to use their images or their graphics for commercial use, because they also want to protect their work. So I'm going to show you two ways to do that. One is going to be the longer way, but it's not going to take too long because we only have 2 slides. And then I'm going to show you a much faster way using Flatpak. So the first way to flatten your work, if you do not have Flatpak, is that you essentially will save each of these slides as a PNG image, and then we are going to come back into a new Microsoft Word document, and we are going to save each of those images as the background. So we are going to go up to File, we are going to Export, and then we are going to select from the file format, PNG. We are going to say that we want to save every slide, and we are going to save them to downloads. We're going to keep everything in one spot, and we are going to export. So now it tells us that each slide in our presentation has been saved as a separate file or a separate PNG file in a folder that we can find in our downloads. So now we've done that part, we're going to say okay. And then we are going to, I'm going to come down and I'm going to create a new slide. I'm going to keep everything in this same document so that we can see. So now that we have our 2 pages here, each one has been saved as its own PNG image, we're going to come back and we are going to insert them as photos that are going to go in the background of each slide. So I'm going to take this blank slide, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to format the background. I'm going to come and select a picture or a texture fill. So I'm telling this that I want the background of this slide to be either a picture or some kind of text fill. We're going to go here where it says picture source, and we're going to insert a picture. We're going to come here to our folder where we have each of our slides saved as a picture, and I'm going to select slide 1. And now I've put this back into the background of my image. So unlike the first slide where each of these is its own separate layer that I can click on, if I come down to slide 3, everything is essentially turned into one layer. I've essentially locked it in place, for a lack of a better word, so that no one can now come and just lift anything off of this product and kind of take it. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to duplicate slide 3. I'm going to click in. It's already in the background. And now for this one, I'm going to insert slide 2. And when I insert it, it does the exact same thing. It's essentially saved it as one background layer so that all of the images are kind of locked in place and they can't be easily lifted off of your resource. Now, this didn't take a long time because of the fact that we only had 2 slides. But imagine if you were creating a resource that had 50 pages in it. It was a 50-page document. It would take a really long time to insert each one of those slides. Another example that I have was I created a resource that was Google Keep headers, and I had 179 of them. And so I had to do this process 179 times. So that takes some time, especially when you have a resource that has hundreds and hundreds of pages. It's going to take a long time for you to not to save them, because it'll save them pretty quickly, but to go back, create a slide, put it in the background, and do that over and over again. So that is definitely the way to do it if you are using PowerPoint and you don't have Flatpak, which I'm going to show you next. And that is the way that I started out things before I could afford to invest in Flatpak. And so do not feel like this is a bad method. It's a great method. It's just more time. Another way that you can flatten your images or your actual work is to use the extension Flatpak. Flatpak is a one-time purchase that you need. You would essentially download it and connect it to your existing PowerPoint app. And then you have it there, and you essentially can flatten this document with the click of a button. So I'm going to go over to Flatpak. I'm going to see here, it says, do we want to flatten this and create it into a PowerPoint, or do you want to flatten this and create it into a PDF file? I want to flatten this and create it into a PDF file. Now, because I want the entire document to be flattened, I don't have to single out any particular items that I want to flatten. Now, Flatpak does allow you to like click on like 3 different things here. Like if you only wanted to flatten certain parts of the document, you could, and leave other things unflattened. But for the sake of this, we're going to flatten everything. So we're going to go over to where it says here, we're going to create a PDF that's flattened and it's a secure file. And it's asking you to give it a name. We're going to say Signs of Spring Observation Worksheet. And then we're going to click OK. Just that quickly, with the click of one button, both of my slides have now been flattened. And as you can see, when I go to try to move any of those layers, it does exactly what it did when we pasted those images into the background. And there you have it, a complete freebie from start to finish using Microsoft PowerPoint. Now I'm going to show you how to create this exact same product in Canva. Now we're ready to create the same product in Canva. I'm logged into Canva, ready to go, and I'm going to start by creating a new document of a custom size. For this, I'm going to change the unit from pixels to inches. And once again, we are going to create an 8.5 by 11 size document so that we can get a standard portrait design. We're going to go ahead and create a new design. And let's go up here and title it Signs of Spring Observation Worksheet. Same thing that we did for our Microsoft PowerPoint, but now we're doing it in Canva. And so we've already got the layout. We already know how we want this product to look. Now we just have to add the elements. So for Canva, I'm going to start by creating the same border that we did in Microsoft PowerPoint. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to Elements and click on Shapes, and I'm going to insert a square. Now that we have our square, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before. We are going to drag it, and we're going to essentially ensure that it is centered in our resource. And as you can see, the line going from top to bottom and left to right shows that we are centered. Now I'm going to go up here and change the color. I'm going to change it to no color so that we don't have any color in the middle. And I'm going to, for the stroke style, I'm going to put that I want a straight line. The next thing that we want to do is we want to add our little copyright to the top of this document as well. So I'm going to go to the text feature. I'm going to add a text box, and I'm going to use the shortcut Option G, which is how we get the copyright symbol in Canva. 2026, the teacher mindset. If you are not using a Mac, you can just kind of do a search for how to add copyright symbol to Canva, or like copyright symbol shortcut for Canva, and it will tell you how to add it if you are using a PC. If you are using a Mac, you just simply hold down the Option key and hit the letter G, and it will add the copyright symbol into your text box. I like using Code Pro in Canva. Canva has its own set of fonts that don't necessarily correlate to all of the fonts in Microsoft PowerPoint. So Code Pro is the one that I like to use. It's the closest to the font that we were using in Microsoft PowerPoint, and it will give our product somewhat of the same kind of look and feel. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to add our block so that we can put the title of our product. We're going to go back to elements. We are going to select a rectangle again, and we are going to drag it and place it across, similar to what we did when we created the box for our PowerPoint version. I'm going to switch this to black. And it automatically doesn't have like a line around it, so you don't have to worry about that in Canva. But now we've got a nice black box that we can go ahead and add some text. Okay, I'm going to go back to text. I'm going to add another text box, and I'm going to call this Signs of Spring. I'm going to bold it. Let's make it like size 60. And we're going to go to here, this little A for text colors, and we're going to change it to white. Okay, I'm going to click on the text box for Signs of Spring. I'm going to copy it. Whoops, that's the wrong layer. I'm going to copy it and paste another layer. This one, we're going to write our observation worksheet in, and we're going to make this much smaller. I'm looking at the size of it on the PowerPoint version, and that's about as big as it is comparative to the Signs of Spring wording. I'm going to grab the two layers of text and we're going to group them together. That way they move together. And then we are going to center it right in the middle of that black box. We have our title. I think it looks great. I'm going to now work on adding the name field. We are going to add another text box. We're going to type in name, and let's bold, and let's drag that to the top, and we can make it a size 18. I think that that's okay. And next we are going to go to our elements. We're going to type in table. Actually, we're going to come out of the shape elements. We want to type in table into the elements, and then we want to drag a table in here. Now the tables are going to be a little different because this one gave us a 4x3. We want to make it a 3x3. So I'm going to select this entire row by clicking on these little three dots here, and we want to delete that particular row to give us a 3x3. All right, we've got ample adequate space for our name. We've got ample adequate space for our instructions, and we've got space for our photos. So next we're going to work on getting all of our photos in that we have in our downloads and getting all of the names under the images. So I'm going to go over to our left-hand bar here. I'm going to select uploads, and I'm going to bring in all of the photos. So let's just do that. We'll click on all of the photos, both black and white and colored, and just actually get everything into our library. All right, everything has now been downloaded into our library, and I'm going to keep the order of the photos exactly the same as how we did it in our PowerPoint version, and simply keep them consistent. I think I've got it to be a good size and I'm happy with. I'm just playing around to ensure that they look pretty centered. That actually looks good to me. So I'm going to go with the size that they are, and I like how they fit in the box. I'm going to show you a little trick of how you can swap out photos in Canva pretty easy. So since these 3 photos are the exact size that I want all the rest of them to be, I'm going to grab each of these photos, I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to paste a copy. So they're already in the order that I want, and they already have like the spacing that I want. So I'm going to do that again for box number 3. I'm going to replace obviously these 6 photos with the photo that goes into that box. So this butterfly here on our PowerPoint sheet was the raindrop. So I'm going to leave the butterfly there, and I'm going to go over into my uploads. I have the raindrop here. I'm going to press down on the raindrop. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to drag it until it goes directly over the butterfly. And now, as you can see, it has turned into the raindrop. And now the raindrop is the exact size that I want it. I don't have to move or fidget it around. This flower here was the bees, the beehive. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to find my picture of the beehive. I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to keep holding. Don't let it go until you've got it in the right place. It's going to go wild a little bit on the screen sometimes, but once you've got it in the right place, then you can let go of the hold and it'll place the picture in its spot. Let's do that one more time. We're going to change this ladybug to our worms. So we're going to go up, we're going to find our worms. I'm going to click and hold it down. I'm going to drag it in place. Once I have it in the place, I'm going to let it go, and voila, it has now replaced our ladybug. We're going to do that for the 3rd row and get all of our photos in the right spot. Okay. We've got all of our photos in the correct spot. They are perfectly placed. We know everything is aligned. Now we just need to get the text underneath it. We're going to go back to our text box or our text field here. We're going to add a text box. And let's start with, I'm actually going to zoom in so that we can see this a little better. I'm going to make this text box the size of the box, and that way we know that everything is properly centered. I'm going to bold. You know, I love a nice bold text box, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did in Microsoft PowerPoint. All right, and just like that, we've got our text, we've got our photos, we are almost done. We've got a few more layers like our instructions, and then we've got our little line for our name, and then this product is going to be complete. We want to grab one more text box, and we want to place it here. We want to write in the same instructions that we did for the Microsoft PowerPoint version. All right, we've got our instructions in on the document. I did make a few tweaks to moving the spacing of some things around because I just wanted to kind of fit, you know, really nicely and to not have like these big gaps or anything in the spacing. The last thing we want to do is we want to get our line for our name. We are going to go to elements and we are going to grab a line. So we're going to grab the straight line here. And then it kind of creates one for us. Now, Canva is one that does a very weird thing, like with the anchor, as you can see, it sometimes pulls the line and anchors it in a weird way. That is sometimes hard to drag off of, which really kind of annoys me, as you can see here, which is one of the reasons why I don't like using the line feature. So I wanted to kind of show it to you. So we're going to delete that and we're going to come and do a very similar thing to what we did when we created the table. We're going to do that same thing for Canva. So we're going to go back to our elements. Instead, we're going to go back to the table. It's going to create another table for us that we're just going to turn into a 1 by 1. It's a little hard to see. I'm just deleting some of those rows that we had and turning this into a 1 by 1 box. So we also want to get rid of this column and that column to make it a 1 by 1. Now that we have the 1 by 1 table here, similar to what we did in Microsoft PowerPoint, we essentially just want to change it from having like all borders to simply just a bottom border. As you can see, I didn't really do anything. So a little trick that I like to do is I like to come and change the border colors to white, which then makes the whole thing white, and then come back, change it to just the bottom borders, and then rechange it to black. And as you can see there, that did the trick. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see exactly what I'm seeing here. That was a little trick. So I kind of made the entire thing white. I clicked on just the bottom border and then I changed it. I changed the bottom border alone to black. So it's showing that the bottom border is black, but the other borders are white, which is a fancy little workaround. And I can then just extend it out to be as long or as short as I want to. And I don't have to worry about like the line doing all of those weird anchor points. Okay, and there you have it. We've got our black and white version. And just that quickly, we are going to also duplicate this and turn it into a colored version. So in Canva, to duplicate your page, you're going to come up to here where it's got the little plus sign, duplicate the page, and underneath it, it's going to, as you can see, it's created a second page that's all black and white. And the same way that we updated the photos in Canva, like we did with this slide, we're now just going to replace all of the black and white photos with their corresponding matching colored photos. So we're going to go back to our uploads. We're going to find the picture of the butterfly. We're going to hold it down and we're going to drag it in place. We're going to do that for all of the photos, and then I'll be right back with you after that. Okay, we are back. We've updated all of the photos to be the exact color, we've updated them to match the color photos. And I'm going to now just make that slight change in the directions. Okay, our instructions have been updated. So this one says to put an X or circle around each sign of spring as you observe it on your nature walk. This one says to circle or color each sign of spring as you observe it on your nature walk. So that matches exactly how we have it on the Microsoft PowerPoint version. The last thing that I want to show you in Canva is how you flatten your document. It's much easier process to do in Canva because you can simply do it with the click of a button. I'm going to go up to share. We are going to download. And we are going to go down to standard PDF. That's how we want to save it. And we've got a couple of options here. We can password protect our product, which then asks us to put a password in. We're not going to do that. We're going to compress, or we're going to flatten. We are going to flatten. And as you can see here, it tells you flattening your PDF converts content of the design into a single image per page. And that's exactly what we want it to do. We're going to flatten this, and then we are going to download it as a flattened PDF. And we can go and find that in our downloads. And when we open it up, the same way that we did for our PowerPoint version, you can see here as I click on the screen, it does not allow me to grab any of the pieces of this document. It is secure and flattened and ready to go. I wanted to print out the actual final product so you can kind of take a look and see how it all comes together. So here is what the final product looks like. I printed out, as you can see, the black and white version. I love how it came out. I think it looks great. Everything looks perfect. And this is actually the version from Canva. So this was the very last page of this process that we did. And I can assure you it looks exactly the same for PowerPoint. So regardless if you printed it out that way or this way, this is essentially what your end product is going to look like. And that, folks, brings us to the end of another video. I hope that you found this tutorial style video to be helpful. If you did, please be sure to leave a comment below on what parts of this video you found to be helpful, or leave a comment on any other features in either Canva or Microsoft PowerPoint that you think I can make a tutorial on and help highlight those features that will make it easier for you when you are creating your next resource. Before I go, I wanted to remind you to please like this video by giving it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you are alerted the next time I post a video. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.